Now sleep is slacked hath the rout. No din but snores throughout the house, made louder by the o'er-fed breast of this most pompous marriage fest. The cat, with eyne of burning coal, now crouches from the mouse's hole, and crickets sing in the oven's mouth, made all the blither for their drouth. Haman hath brought the bride to bed, where by the loss of maidenhead a babe is moulded. Be attent, and time that is so briefly spent with your fine fancies quaintly each. What's them in show, I'll plan with speech. By many a darn and painful parch of Pericles, the careful search is made with all due diligence, which horse and sail and high expense can steed the quest. At last from Tyre, fame answering this most strange inquire, to the court of King Simonides are letters brought. Their tenor these: Antiochus and his daughter dead. The men of Tyrus on the head of Helicanus would put on the crown of Tyre, but he will none. The mutiny he there hasts to press says to him, if King Pericles comes not home in twice 6 moons, he, obedient to their dooms, will take the crown. The sum of this brought hither to Pentapolis, irony shed the regions round, and everyone with claps can sound, our heir apparent is a king. Who dreamt, who thought of such a thing? Brief, he must hence depart to Tyre. His queen with child makes her desire along to go. Omit we hear the dole and woe. The corridor her nurse she takes, and so to sea. The vessel shakes in Neptune's billow. Half the flood hath their keel cut, but fortune moved varies again. The grizzled north disgorges such a tempest forth, that as a duck for life that drives, so up and down the poor ship dives. The lady shrieks, and well and near falls down in travel with her fear. And what ensues in this self-storm shall for itself perform. I will relate, but action may conveniently the rest convey, which might not. What by me is told in your imagination hold. This stage the ship, upon whose deck the seas tossed Pericles appears to speak.
The God of this great fast, rebuke these surges that wash both heaven and hell. And thou that hast upon the wine's command, bind them in brass, having called them from the deep. Oh, still thy dreadful deafening thunders, daily quench thy nimble sulphurous flashes. How thy corridor, how does my queen, Lucina, oh, divinest patroness and my wife. Gentle to those that cry by night, convey thy deity aboard our dancing boat. Now, Lycarida.
Here's a thing too young for such a place. For if it had conceived would die, as some like to do, take in your arms this piece of your dead queen.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, Lycarida.
Patience, good sir, do not assist the storm. Here's all that's left living of your queen, a little daughter. For the sake of it, be manly and take comfort.
You gods, why do you make us love your goodly gifts, and then snatch them straight away?
Patience, good sir, even for this charge.
No. Mild may be thy life, for a more blasterous barth had never bab. Quiet and gentle thy conditions, for thou art the most ruliest welcome to this world that ever was Prince's bab. Now the good gods throw your best eyes upon it.
Courage, sir. God save you.
Courage enough, I do not fear the flaw. It hath done to me the worst. Yet for the sake of this poor infant, this new, fresh seafarer, it would be quiet.
Sir, your queen must overboard. The sea is high and the wind is loud, and it will not lie till the dead is cast from the ship.
That's your superstition.
Pardon us, sir, but we at sea have long observed this, and we are strong Eastern, and therefore briefly yield her.
Most wretched queen.
Oh, here she lies, sir.
A terrible child bed hast thou had, my dear.
Well, we're not going to celebrate his death. We're always going to celebrate his birth. There are bars there, and there. There's the exhibition entrance down there, which you're very welcome to attend. There are actors all over this library. Explore it. We've turned it into a treasure trove of an adventure for you. Do not feel in any way obliged to stay here. Explore the whole place. Find the Shakespearean characters. If you've got a program, I haven't got mine here, get a stamp in the back for every character that you can find and meet. Up there's a Shakespeare karaoke. Down there's a Shakespeare sharing sofa. Come and give your best Shakespeare anecdote. This is a party, and I want you to all mingle around, enjoy, and we'll come back later with some great responses to Shakespeare. We've got June Brown, we've got Sir Trevor McDonald, we've got John Agard, we've got Grey Eye, we've got some great theatre companies. Enjoy the night, and we'll see you back here later on. Thank you.
Now sleep is slacked hath the rout. No din but snores throughout the house, made louder by the o'er-fed breast of this most pompous marriage fest. A cat with eyne of burning coal now crouches from the mouse's hole, and crickets sing in the oven's mouth, made all the blither for their drouth. Haman hath brought the bride to bed.
This is The Big House, one of East London's leading charities working with young people who have been through the care system or are on the brink of social exclusion. Wraparound support, long-term mentoring combined with drama to build confidence, self-esteem and self-control. The company stages high-profile, critically acclaimed shows with ambitious production values to give a platform to this marginalised group. Now, for the first time, they're letting cameras in to follow their process as they prepare for their new show, Electric. The group are gathered for the first read-through, but one of the group is missing.
Praise the Father and the Holy Spirit. Take hold of my husband's hand and shake the truth out of his feeble body.
Because every square foot of this island is owned. Men like me only touch the ground by permission of the ruling class. It's their freedom we're fighting to defend, and their wealth, and their privilege. And they say we're all in this together.
So I went back home, and I got there, and I was ringing the bell, and there was no answer. So I kept ringing the bell for like half an hour before I even got an answer. And then my nan came out and she just said, "Oh, I don't want you here anymore." I was like, "Oh, what have I done wrong? Have I done something wrong?" She was like, "No, I just don't want you here. What do you not understand about that?" So I don't know what's going on right now. But nothing. What? Oh, so what's that saying? That's why he's so mellow.
The devil him chase pretty eyes and juicy behind and flirty skirty. You think I want the devil on my tail? Like you? The first 4 weeks of the process are focused on life skills like money management, healthy eating, and drug and alcohol misuse.
I think the session made me feel it triggered some memory of my mum being on crack and cocaine, and her having to lose 2 kids over it because she's bipolar, schizophrenia, and then she's used the crack and cocaine to fuel that with antidepressants. So it's just, I think, letting it all out and having Maggie bring these people in was quite good, because a lot of us may have shared the same history of drugs through our family members. So I think it's good. It's really good.
As a sister, my role became very different once you were born. I became a mother once our family was torn between loving you and forgiving her. I remember watching you crawl into danger as the crack pipes were left on the floor. I picked you up and I checked your mouth just to be sure.
My mum was a drug user, a drug abuser. I used to be so scared of her. So scared. And I remember there was one time where I didn't know, I think I burnt the rice or something, and she put me outside for the whole night. And I went outside with like my jacket and shoes, and then she took my jacket and shoes off of me because she was like, "You didn't pay for that." I block out all these bad memories because I'm so desperate to have like a good relationship with my mum. At moments, I get very defensive. If I don't think something's right, I'll get aggressive in the sense that I'll like kind of shout you down or whatever if I think that, you know, my point is valid. And Maggie's given me advice that you shouldn't let them or their attitude or their mood affect what you're trying to do. I think that was a turning point in my attitude, in my life, in the way that people like speak to me. I don't need to meet with the same energy as them.
Transporter actor Ed Screen comes down to the Big House to talk about his life and personal journey into acting.
Everyone deserves an environment where people believe in you and people will nurture you and try and put you onto a positive path. I got stabbed and I went to hospital and I was in there 5 days, and it made me think, you know, is this whole tit for tat, war for war, bit for bit, is all of that, is that part of me? And it certainly wasn't and certainly isn't. Ultimately, we do choose who we stand next to. You can't choose who your family were, and you can't choose, you know, where you were born geographically, but you can choose the people that are next to you. The things that we can choose, we have to choose very, very fucking wisely. Being on a positive path was having something to channel towards when you're in those moments of doubt. You know, there are positive places and there are people that believe in you, probably more than you believe in yourself.
I think that's what brings a lot of us here, to be honest. At least for me personally, I wasn't really happy with where my life was going and I wanted to do something about it.
This is the only place where I've actually felt like my presence was actually worth something. It was actually worthwhile reason to get up in the morning. Before this, I was nothing. I was in my room, just looking for a reason to exist, and this is it now, so thank you.
Rehearsals take place in the second month.
Mighty Father, we gather to praise your glory. Join us if you wish.
With your eyes shut, open one cheeky eye for Anton and Richter.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We humbly thank you. We take Hampton from Dingle and Bertha.
Tensions begin to flare up.
What's the problem in here?
What's the problem here? The problem is that it's her. That's the problem.
Sorry, that's rude to do that. So just talk, just say Nike.
I don't want to say her name. So if you don't like it, then sorry. But I'm really not mentioning her name because she doesn't mean anything to me.
Sorry, if you're gonna speak to me,
hang on.
If you're gonna speak to someone properly. I'm an adult. I'm not a little girl.
Nike, and Murray. Listen, we had a talk earlier, Nike, Del, Murray, about how not to let small, insignificant subjects, like you're discussing now, interfere with your main focus.
That didn't happen until people started getting involved in a conversation that actually had nothing to do with them. Me and Del were actually having a conversation, generalising, talking about our own lives, generally outside of here, quietly. No one had no arguments, no one had no qualms about what we were talking about. Zeki was...
And you weren't having a one-on-one conversation. Zeki was there too.
This is so childish at this point in our journey.
Well, I did try to calm the situation, but actually Nike took herself away from it.
Good, that was very
And then she
good.
chased me to come hit me.
Is that the case?
But I got held back by Sam and Nike to turn around.
Let her speak, Nike.
Okay, see, this is...
No, Murray, let her speak. Murray, stop looking away, Murray. You've been doing really well, Murray.
Murray takes some time alone and then comes to speak to Maggie.
So what is concerning for me at this point is that we've done a huge amount of work. And I am worried that if you can't handle the pressure now, how is it going to be in the tech week when you're tired?
It's personal comments when you're saying you're calling me names or when you say things about who I am, that actually what triggers me off, to be honest with you.
Why?
Why? Because over the last 10 years, I've lost my son, my home broke down, I've been in care, that was not easy. Living on my own feels quite lonely and worrying at times when I have no gas and I have no food and I feel hungry for days on end.
So if someone's saying something very mean, actually, by just saying, they can say that, I know it's not true, you're in control. And if you let those words affect you, you are then vulnerable and you are then prone to anybody attacking you. And you're breaking quite entrenched patterns of bad behaviour that you've learnt over a number of years. So it's not going to happen overnight. So don't beat yourself up too much. You're on a journey, you're doing very, very well. Yeah. All right. It's tough. No, it's tough. It's tough because this is built up over a number of years. A lot has happened to you, Awful lot has happened to you.
My dad, he is in jail. I don't think he's still in jail now, but he was in jail. He went in jail. I don't know why he went in jail. No one's told me. No one said anything about that. And we were living in Slough, and basically we got evicted from our family home. That's when I started getting panic attacks and stuff like that. So, and went to live with my granddad. And then he was the one who actually said, "Oh, I don't think the stuff you're doing in college is beneficial for you." They started manhandling me, so actually physically trying to beat me up, and then so they ended up kicking me out. So, yeah.
The Big House creates an opportunity for Keenan to develop his love of the theatre.
You have a very strong voice in the sense that you're not frightened of saying what you think, and they want that. If you're bright and you're passionate and you're dedicated, all of which you are, you will absolutely do that job extremely well.
Keenan's here to interview for our youth board, which is a project that we're setting up where we'll have a young equivalent of every department in the theatre, and then in July they're putting on their own youth festival, and Keenan's here to interview to be on that board.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, but it's about getting the ideas from the future of theatre, isn't it?
Reading through a play curated through the members' experiences can lead to powerful discussions.
It's a kind of kiss. Only a kiss with pain, it really counts. Right, Faith? The other kiss would be empty, you understand?
Let's just stop there. So that's quite an interesting speech in terms of domestic violence. Has anybody had experience of that kind of a relationship? It's pretty common.
Yeah, I've had.
Yeah.
When you love someone and you've grown up with them as well, when you've both been in situations where your family don't really want to know you and you self-work yourself, we kind of made ourselves independent together. But then I realised when we started clashing together, it came up more worse, so we smashed more things, like each other things. Like I remember when there was a time she was doing her hair, but she was being bare rude to me. I'm not gonna lie, I switched and punched the mirror, so she got a cup and smashing her head around it. And then it took me a long while to get away from this. I'll break up, get back with her, break up, get back with her, and then actually realise it's not nice to be in a relationship where you keep fighting.
My ex-boyfriend, he would delete all pictures, all boys' names in my phone book, tell me not to wear makeup, why are you wearing this, why are you wearing that, try to beat me up, loads of different things. He'd be like, but you live by yourself, I know someone's coming to fuck you in the house, know someone's coming to fuck you.
Wow. How did you manage to break that?
I don't want that stereotype of a care leaver. And
what's the stereotype of a care leaver?
They have a boyfriend, the boyfriend normally beats them up because you're lonely and you go for someone like that. And then they have a baby, and then your baby gets taken away. And it's the whole cycle. And then they have another one, and that one gets taken away. That's been with all 4 of my friends that have been in care. They've lost 3 kids.
One day, I got into an argument with Mum, and it got a bit too serious. I couldn't take it no more. I got put into services, so did my 2 younger brothers as well. I was on tag because I weren't really a good-minded child at them times. So I really didn't think about my actions more than anything. I really do love what the Brig House is doing, because in my times now, I couldn't think of anything good that I could be doing for myself right by now. We went to go see some young people that are in care as well. And we was all telling them bits about ourselves as well. And you can see that we inspired a lot of young people.
for a care leaver, like you've been given a certain name as yourself, as a young person. They look as drug users or people that have alcohol or have gang violence or in gangs, stuff like that. So I would love productions to be going on like this, especially for people in care, because it's quite sad that we get forgotten about.
After 4 weeks rehearsals, the opening night of a month-long run arrives.
A bit speechless because it's amazing. I heard about the big house and the amazing work they do, and seeing them on stage feeling so confident and empowered.
And it was just vibrant. It's not just a show, it's definitely an experience. It's amazing.
Within all of us, there is a poem. Within all of us, there's a painting. Within all of us, there's a novel. Within all of us, there is a real expression of what we want to see of the world. And what the Big House does is opens it up and brings it out. It's wonderful. I loved every minute of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the British Library. My name is Ben Crystal. I'm your host for this evening. I'm the artistic director of Passion in Practice, the company in residence that's been performing, rehearsing, and exploring this beautiful, beautiful foyer over the last week or so. We are here, as I'm sure you all know, to celebrate, oh God, what's his name? Oh, Shakespeare, that's it. It's not like it's everywhere in the building. It's just to let you know that the night might not be exactly as you may think it will be. It's not a sit down and relax evening. Your ticket to tonight grants you free exhibition to this wonderful Shakespeare in 10 Acts exhibition. Look at Vivian Lee pointing there as Titania. Almost, nearly 100 years ago now, 1939 I think that was. What I've designed for you this evening, well, apart from the bar, and the bar, and the bar. is an entire smorgasbord of Shakespeare entertainment. Up there, we have a Shakespeare karaoke, so you can take part, try some Shakespeare out for yourself. Down here, we have a Shakespeare sharing sofa. Come and share a moment of Shakespeare that you've experienced or that you'd like to, or a question you might have for one of us. My ensemble are also around this entire foyer. You can tell us because we're wearing these pashminas. They have a bunch of different monologues and duologues. If you've ever experienced the wonderful company that is Punch Drunk and their immersive style of theatre, we've taken a leaf out of their book and we've tried to give you as many different Shakespearean characters as you can possibly find. And do try and find them. If you have your Shakespeare souvenir program, on the back is the passport. There are 8 Shakespeare characters to find, and 4 Shakespeare sideshows over the course of the evening, including a human sonnet jukebox. You can, if you find him, list a number from 1 to 154, and he will perform it for you. Around the foyer, we have Richard III, Cleopatra, Malvolio, a couple of Hamlets, an Isabella, an Iago, a Juliet. Even my father, the linguist Professor David Crystal, is here somewhere, and he's going to be joining us later on stage. Later on, in about half an hour, we'll call you all back, and then, as far as I can tell, we're going to welcome you formally to the evening, and some of the main... That's not for me, that's the Shakespeare karaoke. Some of the acts we have for you this evening, we have Lionheart, a wonderful young spoken word poet from London, brand new commission. He's giving his response to Shakespeare. We have a brand new commission from Big House Theatre Company. They work with young folk who have been through the care system and use theatre to enrich their lives. We have Sir Trevor McDonald, who is going to be performing a sonnet. We also have June Brown. She's going to be coming and talking to us and giving her sonnet. We have Caliban and the book popping up around. You can see that. John Agard, the poet John Agard, has written a brand new poem for Shakespeare's birthday. He's going to be performing that later on. And, goodness, I think there's a few more things too. I've packed the night full. I want it to be a real beautiful, wonderful celebration of this man 400 years ago who put quill to parchment and has touched so many people's lives. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be bringing you back here in about half an hour. Meantime, for the love of the bard, please enjoy.
From all over Bangladesh, a special group of people are taking part in a project to celebrate Shakespeare's 400th anniversary. The British Council is supporting an amazing collaboration through which disabled people have a brand new platform, performing Romeo and Juliet on the national stage. Director of Grey Eye Theatre Company, Jenny Seeley, has been working on the project for the last few months.
Chose Romeo and Juliet because it's a universal love story, and my goodness, we all need to love and to love other people. So we have voice and we have sign language, creating this fantastic hybrid of theatricality and accessibility for a deaf audience.
Isha Yusuf from Dhaka Theatre has been working closely alongside Jenny.
For me, it was all very new because we don't have a platform for disabled people in this country. We don't have a place where they can come and express themselves freely.
I really do believe that if we can create a marvellous piece of theatre, that will give a very strong message that, sorry, we are not happy about being thrown away, discarded. We are people and we absolutely have every right to be on that stage.
কিন্তু এখন আমরা একদম সত্যিকার শেক্সপিয়ার নাটকে অভিনয় করবার সুযোগ পাচ্ছি।
একদম সত্যিকারের মঞ্চে
প্রায় 800 মানুষের সামনে।
Okay, well, come on, let's get started.
Grey Eye Theatre Company. Grey Eye is a force for change in world-class theatre. Diary of an Action Man, 2003. This immensely expressive piece tackles its issues in a forthright, unconventional and energetic manner. Time Out. Bent, 2004. This compelling and powerful production. The Stage. Blasted, 2006. Shocking but brilliant. We are left washed out, touched, and thrillingly appalled. Evening Standard. Signs of a Star-Shaped Diva, 2010. A remarkable piece of theatre. British Theatre Guide. The Garden, 2010. Jenny Seeley has done it again. Disability Arts Online. The Limbless Night, A Tale of Rights Reignited, 2013. A stunning mixture of drama, music, dance and aerial acrobatics, The Huffington Post. Belonging, 2014. Pioneering in the way it uses many different kinds of language, physical, spoken and sign, to create layers of meaning. The Guardian. The Iron Man, 2013. The Fable's beauty became all the more magical for its scenery, massive puppets and setting. The Latest 7. Against the Tide, 2010. Beautiful to watch and effortlessly flowing. Disability Arts Online. Prometheus Awakes, 2012. There are no limitations here, just glorious liberation. The Guardian. Threepenny Opera, 2014. It truly is a show conceived with magnificence. The Big Issue. Reasons to be Cheerful, 2010. A Grey Eye Theatre Company triumph. The Guardian. Grey Eye Theatre Company. Grey Eye creates theatre that matters and is a force for change. By championing accessibility and providing a platform for new generations of artists, Grey Eye leads the way in pioneering trailblazing theatre both in the UK and internationally.
How like a winter hath my absence been from thee, the pleasure of the fleeting year. What freezings have I felt, what dark days seen, what old December's bareness everywhere. And yet this time removed was summer's time, teeming autumn, big with rich increase, bearing the wanton burden of the prime, like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. And yet this abundant issue seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee, and thou away the very birds are mute. Or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that the leaves look pale, dreading the winter's near.
Since what I am to say must be but that which contradicts my accusation, and the testimony on my part, no other but what comes from myself, it shall scarce boot me to say, not guilty. Mine integrity, being counted falsehood, shall, as I express it, be so received. But thus, if powers divine behold our human actions as they do, I doubt not then, but innocence shall make false accusation blush, and tyranny tremble at patience. For behold me, a fellow of the royal bed, which a mighty of the throne, a great king's daughter, the mother to a hopeful prince. Here, standing to prate and talk, for life and honor, for who please to come and hear. For life, I prize it as I weigh grief, which I would spare. For honor, 'tis a derivative from me to mine, and only that I stand for. I appeal to your own conscience, sir. Before Polixenes came to your court, how I was in your grace. I merited to be so. Since he came, with what encounter so uncurrent I have strained to appear thus. If one jot beyond the bound of honor, or in act or will that were inclining, hardened be the hearts of all that hear me, and my nearest of kin cry fie upon my grave.
Macbeth, 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 be bloody, bold, and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of men, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth.
Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, 'tis an ever fixed mark. It looks on tempests and is ne'er shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and checks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brevours and wakes, but bears it out, e'en to the edge of doubt. If this be error, and upon my craft, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
This is Sonnet 29 and I'm Nikki Beamish. When in despair, with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him, with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think of thee, and my state like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed, the dear repose for limbs with travel tired. But then begins a journey in my head, to work my mind when body's work's expired. For then my thoughts, from far where I abide, intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee, and keep my drooping eyelids open wide, looking on darkness, which the blind do see, save that my soul's imaginary sight presents thy image to my sightless view, which, like a jewel hung in ghastly night, makes dark night beauteous, and her old face new. Lo, thus by day my limbs, by night my mind, for thee and for myself, no quiet find.
sat herself down at the stern of the ship, and the moon it shone gentle and clear. Oh, she sang charming and sweet, she sang neat and complete, she sang sailors and captain to sleep. Oh, sang sailors and captain to sleep. Then she's robbed them of silver, she's robbed them of gold, she's robbed them of costly ware. Oh, and the captain's broadsword she did take for an oar, and she paddled her way to the shore. Oh, she paddled her way to the shore. Or were they so deep in despair? Oh, for to let you away with your beauty so gay, for to paddle your way to the shore. Oh, for to paddle your way to the shore. Oh, your men, they weren't mad, your men, they weren't drunk, your men weren't so deep in despair. Oh, I deluded your sailors as well as yourself. Once again I'm a maid on the shore. Oh, once again I'm a maid on the shore. There were 3 brothers in merry Scotland. In Scotland there were brothers 3, and they did cast lots for to see which of them would go and turn robber all on the salt sea. Now the lot fell first on Henry Martin, the youngest of those brothers 3, that he should turn pirate all on the salt sea, to maintain his 2 brothers and he. They had not sailed a long winter's night, nor part of a short winter's day, before he spied a lofty tall ship, a tall ship, come sailing down on them straightway. broadside to broadside in battle they went, for hours or more, I'm sure, till Henry Martin gave her the death shot, and down to the bottom went she. Bad news for our Queen's bench, bad news in her sorrowful sound. There's a rich merchant ship from old England she came, and all of her mariners drowned.
Can you do it? Can you do it into the microphone? You want to do it into the mic?
Charms wound up. Ladies and gentlemen,
My name is Ben Crystal. I'm your host for this evening, and a very huge, warm, hearty welcome to Shakespeare's Bard Day. Come on, Shakespeare's Bard Day, that's not bad. I spent weeks writing this script. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a huge honor for me to be here tonight. As I say, my name is Ben Crystal. I'm the artistic director of Passion in Practice and its Shakespeare Ensemble. Welcome to Late at the British Library, to World Book Night. Welcome to those of you watching around the world online. We are streaming this live around the world. If you are on Twitter, please, the British Library here have the hashtag of Shakespeare, which there might be a bit of traffic about that online tonight. I'm not sure. There are a few other things going on. The hashtag that we came up with was hashtag BL, British Library, 230416. Because that's the date today, right? 230416. Hashtag BL230416. I suggested this the other day to my friend. He said it sounds like the Stormtrooper Shakespeare. You can't win. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight. And as I've explained to some of you already, we've just received the World Book Night audience too. And so we are now here, and indeed, the charm is wound up. And what a night. You know, when 20 years ago, I really hated Shakespeare. And to be here tonight, it's a testament to, well, a whole bunch of people, really. It's a testament to teachers. It's a testament to my parents. It's a testament to the director that first cast me in a Shakespeare production, because that was when I got Shakespeare for the first time. And this is our Passion in Practice, the British Library's response to Shakespeare. And that is a night of the people's playwright, because if he is one thing, it is certainly that. We've got a beautiful lineup for you here tonight. What we're going to do, essentially, to give you a framework, is rock and roll back and forth between standing here and watching some things happen on this main stage. And then, as some of you have already experienced, I've filled the British Library with Shakespeare sideshows and Shakespeare characters for you to find. Those of you that have your Shakespeare souvenir program for tonight, and where is it? On the back page, we have a passport. You can find around the library Caliban and the book, the puppets. Shakespeare karaoke, some of you have experienced already, up there by the King Charles Library. The sharing sofa down by the bar, one of the 3 bars. Oh yeah, Shakespeare liked to drink. Come down to the Shakespeare sharing sofa and either share something with one another about Shakespeare or one of our actors, or maybe you might even get the chance to share something with my own father, David Crystal. Also tonight, we have a human sonnet jukebox. William Sutton, one of my dearest and best friends and one of my ensemble members, has taken the pains so you don't have to. He knows all 154 of Shakespeare's sonnets. Oh, hello, of you over there. Off by heart, all 154 of them. You can, and I do this often to him, you can say 26, 142, 99, and he should be able to rattle them off. Also, around the library, we have The Jailer's Daughter from Two Noble Kinsmen, Richard III and characters, Cleopatra, Malvolio trying to return a ring to Viola, Juliet and her Romeo, a couple of Hamlets and a couple of Ophelias, because there's never enough Hamlet, is there? Come on. We have Isabella and Angelo from Measure for Measure. There's Iago, there's sonnets, there's sonneteers. They're here to enjoy, find them, rove around. But in the meantime, a night celebrating the people's playwright. When the British Library invited me to come and do this, I looked around at the other Shakespeare offerings that are around the world and around London tonight and the UK, and the idea of the people's playwright seemed to really sing to me. So I've asked Grey Eye, the UK leading theatre company working with disabled and deaf actors, to come and give their response to Shakespeare. We have Big House Theatre Company who are giving their response to Shakespeare. They're a theatre company that work with young folk who have been through the care system, and they bring theatre to their life to explore what's happened to them and what might happen to them. Did I mention the bar? We have the wonderful poet John Agard at the end of the night here, and he has written a poem for Shakespeare. Lionheart, a wonderful spoken word poet, is coming on later. He and I have been enjoying a wonderful walk together for the last month or so every week, exploring Shakespeare and exploring what he and his writing life, Lionheart this is, what his London writing life is like. He'll be coming on later on too. So, to begin, I couldn't not do it. A few of you might already be aware of this original practice called original pronunciation, an exploration and a recreation of the accent that Shakespeare himself would have spoken. And rather than do it myself or ask one of my actors to, I figured that tonight, in celebration of this bard, we'd go straight to the source. Please join me giving a very warm welcome on stage to my father, Professor David Crystal.
Hello. 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 What are you doing here?
So, there's this guy called Shakespeare. I thought you might have found out about this already, but I didn't brief my father. You'll have to excuse me.
Yeah, that's William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare, not Frank Shakespeare,
sorry.
not Bob Shakespeare.
No, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare. That's how it would have been in those days.
Hey, you know, no, I've just remembered as well, I forgot to say, what about this music, eh? We just had the folk duo, the sisters, the Askew Sisters. Big round of applause for the Askew Sisters.
Absolutely.
They're a wonderful duo. They have worked on 2 or 3 of our shows now, and they live improvise music whilst we are cue script performing Shakespeare. They're a fantastic couple. And later on at the end of the night, we're going to have the DJ Muzz Khan, an actor, Shakespeare actor and DJ, who's going to help us boogie the night away. But first, I thought I'd invite Dad on stage to do something rather special for us. Dad, do you want to explain what you're going to do?
Yeah, the beginning of the first folio. They have a copy here somewhere, unless you've pinched it. It's down there. And at the beginning of the first folio, you know there is this preface written by his friends, John Hemming and Henry Condell, to the great variety of readers. And it's a lovely acknowledgement of Shakespeare. And you've probably read it, and you've probably heard it, but not probably in original pronunciation. And if you want to hear more about OP and how it works and where it comes from, I'll be down on the Sharing Shakespeare bench afterwards, and we can talk about it individually. But in the meantime, to the great variety of readers, from the most able to him that can but spell, there are you numbered. We had rather you were wed, especially when the fate of all books depends upon your capacious, and not of your heads alone, but of your parses. Well, it's now public, and you will stand for your privileges, we know, to read and censor. Do so, but buy it first. That doth best commend a book, the stationer says. Then how odd soever your brains are, so you rise to the just rates and welcome, but whatever you do, buy. And though you be a magistrate or of wit and sit on the stage at Blackfriars or the cockpit to arraign plays daily, no, these plays have had their trial already and stood out all appeals, and now come forth quitted rather by a decree of court than any published letters of commendation. It had been a thing, we confess, worthy to have been wished that the author himself had lived to have set forth and overseen his own writings. But since it hath been ordained otherwise, and he by death departed from that right, we pray you not to envy his friends the office of their care and pain to have collected and published them, absolute in their numbers as he conceived them, who, as he was a happy imitator of nature, was a most gentle expresser of it. His mind and hand went together, and what he thought he uttered with that easiness that we have scarce received from him a blot in his papers. But it's not our province, who only gather his works and give them to you to praise him. It is yours that read him, and there we hope, to your diverse capacities, you will find enough both to draw and hold you. Read him, therefore, and again, and again. And if then you do not like him, surely you are in some manifest danger not to understand him. And so, we leave you to other of his friends, whom, if you need, can be your guides. If you need him not, you can lead yourselves and others, and such read as we wish him. John Hemming, Henry Condell. Horrible, horrible, horrible beast.
Go.
Go away. Go, shoot, shoot.
Be not afeard. The library is full of noises, sounds, and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears. Sometimes voices that if I then had waked after long sleep will make me sleep again, and then in dreaming the clouds methought would open and show riches ready to drop upon me, that when I waked, I cried to dream again. No more Caliban.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to co-host this with Ben Crystal, who's your main host tonight. Without further ado, one of our great stars of TV. You know him as Sir Trevor McDonald. Would you please give him a very warm welcome to the stage? Before you do your star turn for us, Sir Trevor, I wanted to have a little...
Star turn.
Well, that's what we're here for. Or your bard turn, perhaps.
Yes.
What was your first introduction to Shakespeare? When did he come into your radar as
It didn't sort of come into my life as it was forced to be part of my life. People growing up in the West Indies in my generation were educated very much along the lines of English public school education. And so Shakespeare, Tennyson, Wordsworth, Milton, Byron were all part of the daily diet. And not only did we have to take part in the plays, we also had to learn many of the parts by heart. So that it was not uncommon in my generation of West Indian life to find people declaiming bits of Shakespeare, you know, sort of walking along the street or doing things. I mean, it sounds absolutely bizarre, but this was the kind of total immersion in English literature that we all had.
I mean, forgive this, but it seems odd to me, and a disconnect, that you're being taught Elizabethan iambic pentameter
absolutely.
In the beautiful sunny Caribbean.
Yeah.
Did it engage you at all? Did you
well,
identify?
I mean, I was lucky. I mean, I'm not too sure it engaged everybody, but I was very fortunate. I liked the language. I've always had a passion for language. I think if you're going to be in the communications business, it's probably de rigueur. It's probably a good idea to have an interest in the way things are expressed and the way you communicate things. So, and I love the language of Shakespeare. And so it fell to me quite naturally. I knew that some of my contemporaries took a slightly different view. And people might take a slightly different view even now. But I think the generality was that we thought this was rather wonderful. It was a rather good use of words. And we became immersed in it. We copied it. And we aspired to be as close to that as was possible.
So given what you've said, what has your knowledge, your early knowledge of Shakespeare, do you think given you as a performer, as a broadcaster? What's the legacy of Shakespeare with you?
I mean, immense. I couldn't find words enough to tell you just how much it meant. It was, I mean, strange as that may seem, as you were indicating earlier, it was part of our lives. And we fell in love with the sort of beauty of the expressions and so on. And, you know, people made jokes about those who would sit on verandas in the evening talking about Milton, Byron, and Shakespeare. People actually talk like that in the Caribbean. And you know, I know it sounds sort of, well, I used the word before, it sounds bizarre, but that was the reality.
There's hope for humanity yet. You have a treat for us. Would you care to introduce it, Sir Trevor?
Yes, well, I'm going to try to read. This is a rather self-deprecating sonnet, or one of his more self-deprecating ones. And I think the idea here is that he's almost doing a kind of what I would call, I mean, I talked about literary tradition in the West Indies, and Wordsworthian intimations of mortality. And what he's saying here really is that while he may not physically survive himself, his work will. And he's almost taunting the fact that his work will outlast him. And of course, he's absolutely right, because we are talking about it today. And I think, if I may just end before I read this by saying, I think this sonnet is much more applicable to the anniversary of his death than if we were celebrating the anniversary of his birth. And I know there's a closeness, there's a closeness to that, but anyhow, I think this one is more appropriate to the other state than to the birth. And I will try to read this, so I'll take my glasses off, as most people do to read. It says, so remember, it's about his saying that his words will be remembered perhaps much longer than the physical Shakespeare. Oh, I shall live your epitaph to make, or you survive when I in earth am rotten. From hence your memory death cannot take, although in me each part will be forgotten. Your name from hence immortal life shall have, though I, once gone, to all the world must die. The earth can yield me but a common grave, when you, entombed in men's eyes, shall lie. Your monument shall be my gentle verse, which eyes, not yet created, shall all read, and tongues, to be your being, shall rehearse, when all the breathers of this world are dead. You still shall live. Such virtue hath my pen, where breath most breathes, even in the mouths of men. I'm sure this can be read much better by a proper Shakespearean actor, but I think it's a rather nice, self-mocking, self-denying, self-deprecating view of the words of a great, 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 great man.
Can I transport you back to a News at 10 studio? And down the line...
Please not.
You have William Shakespeare from 500 years ago, and you get to ask him one question. Were you to have such luxury, such an opportunity, what would you want to know from the bard?
At this very moment, how on earth did you find the time to write all that stuff? when lesser mortals struggle with just one or two books. The thing which surprises us all, I suppose, is the volume of this all. It's unceasing. And hence all the challenges about, was it really possible that one person did all this? I leave that to minds much greater than mine.
What does your intuition tell you?
I stick by, it must be him.
I think we're all agreed on that, aren't we? Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Trevor McDonald. Because we're all a little bit in love with Sir Trevor's voice, he's going to do us the honor of introducing our next act.
The next act is Lionheart.
Thank you. Picture two hands forming L shapes. One upside down, each rotating 45 degrees back and forth, then back again, framing the unseen. What is art without perspective? What is magic without the unknown? Is Shakespeare dead? Yes, but no. So picture this. Two friends, many differences between them. One has an air to him, an esoteric edge, a bewitching mystery, his demeanor, an actor. But his words deem him an instrument which require this air to him. The other doesn't know he is winded. He has held life by the windpipe for some time now, yet this time he is giving, the other is listening. Together, they are breathing, partaking in what seems to be a soft conversation in South Bank. However, this is far from an amalgamation of call and response, far from an exchange of words. No, this is an incantation unbeknown to the two, meandering through talks of animals in captivity, of the universe, of time and space, of the four-letter words most men speak with disdain, and how love is an acquired taste that most don't have the appetite for. When the air changes and the clouds suddenly imitate the parting of a sea, it dawns on them as the dog they are walking leaves dog prints. "This is Shakespeare," one remarks. "This is Shakespeare." His friend gives him a look, which sounds a lot like dog prints. Of course, he replies, "No, It is us finding our feet in places we've never been before. Finding ourselves new in the old is the power of Shakespeare. Here he lives alive in us. No matter the amount of plays you have or haven't seen, no matter the quotes you can't quote, or how you felt in school not understanding iambic pentameter, it's fine, it's cool. Shakespeare is here, he is now. He is the hyphenation to polarities, joining dichotomies with what obviously slipped me before. Yes, before I saw Shakespeare as the heir of choice and discovery. In a world of suffocation from ourselves, and we're convinced that it is the norm. So call it poetic archaeology or poetic kinesthesia, opening the doors, allowing you to walk in to see yourself for yourself for what's truly there. So no, these dog prints aren't Shakespeare. They're a reminder that you, like Shakespeare, are dying echoes of the past, resurrecting each time someone calls your name, creates a poem or a play, or takes a photo. So picture this. If each blink is us capturing a memory, well, feast your eyes on Shakespeare, because this here, this is Shakespeare. So is Shakespeare dead? Yes, but no. Thank you. Thank you, man. Give me a hug, man. Give me a hug.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may,
the nerves.
That may well be the next.
Thank you.
What a great man. You know, about 10 years ago, I wanted to write a book that made Shakespeare accessible without dumbing it down. And I tried to imagine if Shakespeare were alive today, what would he be doing? And it has become a bit of a cliche to say so. But a lot of people would say if Shakespeare were alive today, because he was providing the Elizabethans with their daily slices of blood and love and lust and loss and jealousy and heartache and heartbreak, he'd be writing for the soaps. So I did a Google search, and I thought, I wonder if anyone from the soaps might have said something interesting about Shakespeare. And there was one person, and when I was thinking about who I might invite for this evening's entertainment for you all, to hear about a people's playwright response to Shakespeare, I gave her a call. An icon of the screen, but you may not know also an icon of the stage too. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome on stage to June Brown.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you very much. I'll sit on my throne. I've dressed in classical mode for you tonight. I hope you appreciate it. Oh, go on, laugh. Off you go.
Seriously, this is you're beautiful. You're dressed like Cleopatra for us.
Well, a bit, maybe.
A lot, I would say.
No, all right, off you go now. What do you want to know?
What have you got?
Oh, how rude. I don't want any rudery.
No rudery.
No, no rudery.
All right, I've got to tear my script up then. Well, Shakespeare. What Shakespeare?
Well, I do love words. I think the thing I most love about acting, well, one of the things, is the words. So I get very upset when I get very tedious words, and I often rewrite them to make them sound a bit better. But that
You
is...
rewrite your own scripts?
I didn't say that.
Could we just... we'll cut this bit, it's fine.
Censored.
So, what was your first Shakespeare experience, I suppose? What was the first play you saw or you read or you...
Well, I didn't really as a child. You know, when I was at school, we read Shakespeare. And I remember my lovely Miss Catley, who adored Shakespeare. She was an actress marquée. She used to sort of sit and look sort of dreamy-eyed. And she loved words, so I think she influenced me a lot. But anyway, one day in the class, the sixth form, I think we were, and I was reading Cleopatra, and I was getting laughs. I must have been playing it in a rather strange way, but never mind. So no, I never saw any Shakespeare, and then, you know, it was a wartime, and I was in the Wrens, and then I went to the big school. And I actually, my first experience would have been Laurence Olivier in Henry V, which was like a propaganda film. It was very good at the time, once more into the breach, when we were standing here with nobody supporting us in this island. So, and then when I was at school, the first one I saw, Vic School, that is, acting school, I saw Alec Guinness play Richard II. Well, I wasn't too impressed.
Not so much? Wow.
I'm sorry, Sir Alec, but you're not here to hear me say that, so it doesn't really matter.
We'll cut this bit as well. No, why wasn't he...
He's not alive. You can say anything you like about people when they're dead.
No, I've seen Star Wars. I know what Alec Guinness can do.
You can no, well, he was very good in Tunes of Glory. He played a rumbustious Scotsman, and he kind of broke out, and he was big, and it was a very good performance, right against his norm, where he used to sit like this. He was very still. And he used to sit like this. He used to come and watch us sometimes at the big school, and he'd sit like that. And he'd made himself. He'd made his voice. The way his voice was elocuted. It was a beautiful voice. And the strange thing, if you're ever on stage with the great actors in those days, you couldn't get near them. There was around them what we might call an aura. Well, you'd say you're invading my space now. Horrible. But it was kind of aura, and you couldn't get past it because they were so big. Their voices were big. They were rich and warm and melodic, and oh, it's all changed. I hate change, don't you?
June, you told me in one of our chats in the last couple of weeks, you told me that you shared the stage once with Dame Edith Evans, and she gave you a beautiful piece of advice.
Well, yes, it's good advice for actors to pass on. I was playing foible in The Way of the World. She was playing Lady Wishfoot, and I was her maid. And I came onto the stage because I wasn't clever in those days. I didn't understand really how to play a part. And I came onto the stage, and I had to say, "Madam, I've seen him." So I'd drop it on the floor. I'll come on, I say, "Madam, I've seen him." So she said, "Say, I've got the tickets." So I said, "I've got the tickets." So she said, "Now say, 'Madam, I've seen him,' like that." So I said, "Madam, I've seen him." "Ah, that's it, dear," she said. "You see, have I got a back for you up there? Because I could have to, pity I haven't got a swivel chair, isn't it? And then I could swivel
Can you all hear her up there? You all good?
The thing is, so she said to me, "You see, dear," she said, "it's like music. We have to give each other the right note. You can't do it without me, and I can't do it without you. It's like music, you see, dear." And that is what it is, and our voices are an instrument, and our bodies, are an instrument too. And then Pam Brown told me something else about acting, and I'd been to see her, she's dead too, so I can talk about her, Dear Marinette, and she was a very slow actress, which gets a bit tedious, because you need pace and energy. Pace doesn't mean going fast, it means answering fast, and that's what you need in performances. People don't do that anymore, they're laid back. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Johnny one note, whisper. Anyway, so she said to me, "Oh, it's a pity about poor Mary," she said. "The trouble is, she thinks when she's acting." Now, you've done all your thinking, haven't you, in rehearsal? And that's a very good note. Because, you see, if you think about it, you see, our thought and our speech are almost simultaneous. I'm not really thinking now. You might think I am, but I'm not really thinking now because I'm just talking. And I could go on for hours, quite honestly. I have been dragged off the stage once. I have. I thought they'd put a light on for me. I was on my knees doing some silly thing, and I said, "Oh, how lovely, they put a light on me." Well, that was the cue to say, "Get off." I didn't take any notice. I think they got a boat hook and pulled me off. Anyway, what was I talking about?
It's been a joy, this. I've been lucky enough, June and I have met 2 or 3 times over the last few weeks, and we've just, I would say we've chatted,
You wouldn't say what?
But I said I would say that we've chatted, but
Yeah,
actually...
but really it was mainly me. And, yeah, and
But
I'd
it
say,
has-
well, you must say something. And I'd say to him, if I go off at a tangent, now you pull me back. And you say, now, June, let's talk about this. And what so do it, because we haven't got much time. I had 2 blooming minutes on that coronation birthday thing. All that time I spent, and the makeup and dressing up, oh dear.
Now,
2
June,
minutes.
tell us about the first time you acted Shakespeare. What was the first role you did?
Well, I was an understudy, wasn't I? Now, you often do get a chance by being an understudy. Yes, that was when I was doing Twelfth Night, and I was doing Olivia. Faith Brooke was really, this is my first job, and it was at the new theatre, which is now the Noel Coward. Sometimes I call it the Robin Hood. It's all changed. And so, anyway, I came on, and they didn't tell Sir Cedric Hardwicke, who was playing Sir Toby Belch, they didn't tell him that Faith was off. Stop that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What cheek. Anyway, so he didn't know that, you must remember her name is Faith Brooke. And you must remember, what?
If you don't stop that, I'm going to send June Brown to sort you out.
Yeah, I'll bring my handbag. So anyway, so her name was Faith Brooke, and she got a sore throat, or one of those. And they didn't tell Sir Cedric that I was going on as Olivier. So I walk on and say, there's a gentleman at the gate, and he gives me a look, and his line was, give me faith, say I, which was rather nice, so it made me smile, sort of settled me in. It was very nice, but yeah, I enjoyed it. And when I was sorry about this.
No, you're
when
fine.
I noticed you were trying to get in, I will get you back.
I was just checking it was
I'll
on,
do it in a minute, wait a minute. So anyway, when I was in Calendar Girls, not so long ago, we did it at the New, which is now the Robin Hood. What was I said it
The
was?
Noel Coward.
Noel Coward, yes. And when I got on the stage, I walked down to the place where I'd done something, and I was doing it to myself. The other people were on, they weren't. I wasn't showing off. I was doing it for myself. I was standing where I'd stood 60-odd years ago for the first time I spoke on stage for Twelfth Night. And that was really lovely. And shall I do you a bit of that?
Yeah. Could you? I was about to ask
Well,
that exact
Wendy's
same
going to
thing.
be ever so annoyed with me, because I said, I think I'll do a bit from Twelfth Night. What? She said, was she signing? So I said, I will explain, Wendy, that if you go wrong, or on the other hand, I might go wrong and you might be signing it right. You never know. So, Wendy, where are you, darling? Oh, there. Yes, all right then. Well, anyway, so anyway, this woman, Olivia, who is, you know, I won't go into details, I haven't got time. If I could give a master class, I would do it for 2 hours. Shall I do one? Would anybody like to come?
I think they want it.
So, someone once said to me, you should do it. I said, I wouldn't know what to say. And then I thought, well, I would. Once I got started, you know, you can't stop me. What are you doing standing there? I was going to say something then. Now, anyway, this girl, there she is, and she's not in love with this man who's in love with her. Or Sino, I think he's called, isn't he? I can't remember now. And there's this Viola who's dressed up as Cesario, and they're always falling in love with women dressed up as men. No, yes, that's right, because they are men, because they're Shakespearean actors and there are no women actors. Sorry about that. Is that a bit too quick? So anyway, she sees him there, and she's in love with him, and she thinks, I can't bear it any longer. And she says, Cesario, by the roses of the spring, by maidhood, honour, truth, and everything, I love thee so, the more all my pride, nor wit, nor reason can my passion hide. Do not extort thy reasons from this clause, for that I woo, thou therefore hast no cause, but rather reason thus, with reason fetter. Love sought is good, but given unsought is better. So that was what I did.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That wasn't very good. I can do it better than that, but never mind. That'll do you.
So, what? I mean, you've been acting for on TV for 30-odd years or so.
Take 21 away from 89. What's that leave? 60-something?
60-something years. If you were to give some advice to, because there's so many, I imagine there's a lot of actors out here, there's hopefully a lot of actors watching out there. A lot of people love Shakespeare, but perhaps you could give them a clue, a hint,
well,
a tip,
I don't know,
a bit of
because
advice.
there's so many things, but I do think what is important, whatever play you do, doesn't matter how old it is or new, you look at it as a new play. It's never been done before. And what you've got to do first, I think you have to read the play. You don't bother look for your part, you read it. You read it 3 or 4. Alan Bedell used to read Hamlet, say, when he was playing it. I think he read it 4 or 5 times. And then you look at your place in the play. Now, you might be very important, you might be playing a leading role, you might be playing an equal role, 2 of you, and you might be supporting. And it's very important to know your place in the play, so you don't always go on being a me, an I. You sometimes realize that you are supporting, or you're equal, or that. The other thing to do is that you have to begin, don't try to learn the lines, please. If you read it, the sense of it, you'll know what it is. You might have to go check it a bit because of odd words here you haven't got right, but don't bother about that. And the other thing is, just a minute, because I thought about this today quite a lot. I think that what you have to think then is who you are. There is a way of acting that you use yourself, and you are what they call a personality actor, which means, I remember being asked at school, the big school, when I say at school, I mean, by Michel Saint-Denis, if we saw the character away from us, or if we saw the character as us, being that character. And actually, one way is being personality, it's being this person and playing the part as using yourself. The other one is knowing what... Was that a whistle? Is that you? The other one is knowing that your character's out there, and you have got to bring that character into you until it inhabits you. What's the other thing I wanted to say? And also, we use psychology. If you look at Shakespeare, he's very human. People aren't just good or evil. If you look at The Merchant of Venice, Portia is, well, she's a very fortunate young lady, you know, but, and she's full of virtues and beauty, but she isn't completely good. And you've got Shylock, but he's given an explanation. It's the way he's treated that causes him to do it. You spit upon my Jewish gabardine. You call me dog. You'd know that speech, wouldn't you? Because I've never played Shylock.
Do you know what? I haven't even... My father has, but I don't think
Where
he's
is your pa?
No, he won't know it now. I'm not going to call him back.
Well, he might. I remember things from 60 years ago.
Well, don't brag. I mean, you know. So listen, when we talked about this, you said of all the parts that you might like all the speeches you might like to do for us tonight, you mentioned Cleopatra. Now, why did you say Cleopatra?
Well, I always wanted to play it. I don't know why, because they're not very female, womanly. I don't like the word sexy. I'm trying to avoid it, but I've said it now. But you know, she has that sort of passion about her. I mean, Juliet has, but she's a young girl. Is that you with that mic?
Yeah, but this is me.
You want these earphones, dear? They're rather handy. I might use them all the time.
Before we allow these people to explore the foyer again, would you do us the honour with a big cheer, perhaps to encourage?
Well,
would you
I'll
give us a bit of Cleopatra?
I'll try.
The world. I'm not sure what that is, but this is the world premiere of June Brown's Cleopatra, then.
I left no ring.
Oh, no, that's...
No, this is Viola. I just said it was my ring. I've gone off on a tangent again. No, I just wanted to play this. This is when Anthony's gone off back to his wife, who is called Portia, funnily enough, I think, if I remember right.
That's true.
And are you doing something down there? So, and she's on her own now, and he's gone, Anthony, and she's really longing for him, I think. So she says, "Oh, Charmian, Where thinkst thou he is now? Is he no, is he, what is it? Is he sad? You can't say is he sad, that's Northern. Sitsy, sorry darling.
That's it.
I'll start again. There's something about television, you can always start again. I knew people used to make Shakespeare up, and very clever they were. They said anything, nobody noticed. I'll try again. These are difficult because they're funny little lines. Oh, Charmian. Where thinkst thou he is now? Stands he? Or sits he? Or does he walk? Or is he on his horse? Oh, happy horse to bear the weight of Antony. Do bravely, horse, for wast thou whom thou movest? The demi-parrot, no it isn't, it's the demi...
Atlas.
Wait.
Atlas.
Of course it is.
Demi-Atlas.
Of course he's the Atlas. Anyway, that's what he is. So do bravely, horse, for wast thou whom thou movest? The demi-Atlas of this earth, the arm and burgeonet of men. He's speaking now, or murmuring. Where's my serpent of old Nile? For so he calls me. Well, now I feed myself the most delicious poison. Think on me, that am with Phoebus Amorous' pinches black and wrinkled deep in time. When broad-fronted Caesar was here upon this earth, I was a morsel for a monarch, and great Pompey would stand and make his eye grow in my brow and die with looking on his life.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's the billiard.
June Brown! Come on, June. I tell you, I do wish that we had more time because there is no end to the beautiful anecdotes. Verse of not just of Shakespeare, but Marlowe pours out of this woman all from time to time. If you can do, come and say hello to her. I'm sure she'd probably give you more and more Shakespeare. Ladies and gentlemen, it is, I'm just going to have a look now, 9:30. Please, enjoy. The exhibition is open. The bar is open. The Shakespeare karaoke may well be starting again. The actors are going to be around. Enjoy the Shakespeare events for us this evening, and we'll be back around 10 o'clock for the second and last set. Back with John Agard, back with Grey Eye, back with Big House, and finally with the DJ. To Shakespeare.
If music be the fruit of love, play on, give me excess of it.
From all over Bangladesh, a special group of people are taking part in a project to celebrate Shakespeare's 400th anniversary. The British Council is supporting an amazing collaboration through which disabled people have a brand new platform, performing Romeo and Juliet on the national stage. Director of Grey Eye Theatre Company, Jenny Seeley, has been working on the project for the last few months.
Chose Romeo and Juliet because it's a universal love story, and my goodness, we all need to love and to love other people. So we have voice and we have sign language, creating this fantastic hybrid of theatricality and accessibility for a deaf audience.
Isha Yusuf from Dhaka Theatre has been working closely alongside Jenny.
For me, it was all very new because we don't have a platform for disabled people in this country. We don't have a place where they can come and express themselves freely.
I really do believe that if we can create a marvellous piece of theatre, that will give a very strong message that, sorry, we are not happy about being thrown away, discarded. We are people and we absolutely have every right to be on that stage.
কিন্তু এখন আমরা একদম সত্যিকার শেক্সপিয়ার নাটকে অভিনয় করবার সুযোগ পাচ্ছি।
একদম সত্যিকারের মঞ্চে
প্রায় 800 মানুষের সামনে।
Okay, well, come on, let's get started.
Grey Eye Theatre Company. Grey Eye is a force for change in world-class theatre. Diary of an Action Man, 2003. This immensely expressive piece tackles its issues in a forthright, unconventional and energetic manner. Time Out. Bent, 2004. This compelling and powerful production. The Stage. Blasted, 2006. Shocking but brilliant. We are left washed out, touched, and thrillingly appalled. Evening Standard. Signs of a Star-Shaped Diva, 2010. A remarkable piece of theatre. British Theatre Guide. The Garden, 2010. Jenny Seeley has done it again. Disability Arts Online. The Limbless Night, A Tale of Rights Reignited, 2013. A stunning mixture of drama, music, dance and aerial acrobatics. The Huffington Post. Belonging, 2014. Pioneering in the way it uses many different kinds of language, physical, spoken and sign, to create layers of meaning. The Guardian. The Iron Man, 2013. The Fable's beauty became all the more magical for its scenery, massive puppets and setting. The Latest 7. Against the Tide, 2010. Beautiful to watch and effortlessly flowing. Disability Arts Online. Prometheus Awakes, 2012. There are no limitations here, just glorious liberation. The Guardian. Threepenny Opera, 2014. It truly is a show conceived with magnificence. The Big Issue. 2010. A Grey Eye Theatre Company triumph. The Guardian. Grey Eye Theatre Company. Grey Eye creates theatre that matters and is a force for change. By championing accessibility and providing a platform for new generations of artists, Grey Eye leads the way in pioneering trailblazing theatre both in the UK and internationally.
How like a winter hath my absence been from thee, the pleasure of the fleeting year. What freezings have I felt, what dark days seen, what old December's bareness everywhere. And yet this time removed was summer's time, teeming autumn, big with rich increase, bearing the wanton burden of the prime, like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. And yet this abundant issue seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee, and thou away the very birds are mute. Or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that the leaves look pale, dreading the winter's near.
Since what I am to say.
We're here in the foyer of the British Library. It's a passion in practice performance of various bardic themed events. What do you think of the show so far?
Overwhelming, very lively, a little bit confusing in a good way.
Good.
In tandem with the exhibition, kind of opens up Shakespeare.
And how was the exhibition?
That's fascinating. It's completely crowded in there. There's far too many people here, but that's a good thing, obviously. But it's really excellent, stocked with all kinds of trinkets. It shows you how early on Shakespeare was merchandised. And in a way, the whole undertaking is, of course, some kind of merchandising, but all in a good cause and all in the spirit of trying to get behind what he was for, what he meant, what you can do with him, and how useful he is in all of our lives, right?
So as a former publisher, and in fact now editor-at-large for Scribe, okay, so we're doing it. So as a former publisher, in fact, man that set up publishing Portobello Books and now editor-at-large for Scribe, what do you think the enduring legacy of Shakespeare is from a publishing perspective?
Well, it's a whole lot of books and many more of them. And down there in the foyer, there's a book stand which has, at least as far as I can see on cursory inspection, a dozen new publications exploring Shakespeare's times, his life, London at that time, his influences, and Shakespeare being performed. There's a book about Shakespeare being performed in Africa in many different ways, and how that can speak to dictatorships, people inhabiting dictatorships, or people inhabiting catastrophe or catastrophic spaces. You know, he is infinitely resourceful. Enough?
Philip Quinn-Jones, thank you very much for your time. Thanks, Adam. Karen, are you sure? I know. Okay. In your time. Do you want me in? Okay. Amanda Baker, sorry. So Amanda Baker, Director of Comedy, you're here at the Late at the Library event with Passion in Practice here at the foyer of the British Library on the anniversary, the 400th anniversary of the death of Shakespeare. You've seen pretty much the whole performance. What do you make of it?
I think it's fantastic. I particularly like, there's a Shakespeare karaoke, and they have got the audience going. Then they have all along upstairs, they have all these actors, and there's quite a crowd, and I believe you can get a book stamped. So there's these adorable little Chinese girls getting their book stamped, which is very fun. And then the talks have been just lovely. The performances have been amazing on the main stage.
Sorry, did you say Shakespeare karaoke? How does that work?
Well, they have it on a screen, and they pick people in the audience, and they get to say the lines. So there's one on insults, and of course Shakespeare was great with insults, and he's funny.
And knowing you as I do, I guess you took part in the Shakespeare insult karaoke. How did it go?
I'm a natural, I have to say. Yeah, that's where my heart is.
And what was your earliest recollection of Shakespeare as a schoolgirl, as a pupil? Did you have a teacher that imbued you with a sense of a love of Shakespeare?
Well, I remember I was 13 years old, and they taught at my high school, they taught Hamlet. So if you can imagine, I'm from Minnesota, it kind of went, to be or not to be, that is the question. So it sounds a little bit different in Britishese.
I bet it does. And for those who weren't able to make it here this evening, what would you say to them? What did they miss?
They miss the spirit of Shakespeare, where everyone joins in, and it's really lovely. It's all the different cultures that have been moved by him. That's just wonderful.
It is indeed. Amanda Baker, Comedy Director, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bless you, Adam. Let's go.
Look, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying the festivities. Hello, Wendy. I keep forgetting. She tells me off because, of course, she has to sign everything that I'm saying. I keep running on stage because I'm so eager. I keep forgetting to tell her, so she keeps telling me off. I hope you're enjoying this evening of festivities. I've been told to tell you that the exhibition will be closed after this next slot, and my goodness, what a slot we have for you. I knew I wanted to end the evening with dancing, so our DJ here, Muzz Khan, that's been dropping tunes for us so far, is going to play the night out for us, and what a great job he's been doing so far. Right before that, I spent a lot of time working with a company set up by a friend of mine who's sadly died now, called Poetry Live, which does to poetry what I guess we as a company and I as a solo artist have been trying to do with Shakespeare and making it much more accessible. So I took the liberty of inviting just the most wonderful performance poet to give his response to Shakespeare. He's written a birthday poem for Shakespeare. So later on, we're going to have John Agard on stage. Really excited for that. Yeah, absolutely. A whoop for John Agard. Here, here. Before that, you're going to see one of the most astonishing things that you will see tonight. And it is about as far away from what you might think of as traditional Shakespeare as you could possibly imagine. We have a wonderful young artist from the Grey Eye Theatre Company's ensemble. And Jamal's going to be up on stage later on. But first of all, tonight, we have a company called Big House.
Dickheads. Thou speakest all right. I am the merry wanderer of the night. I jest overrun and make him smile. When I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile. Wow. I can't do this. Why am I even going to stress myself? You know, if only life was that simple that all I had to stress about was this. Why is my success judged by some ancient text? Who says what's correct? Who says what's best? I'm learning this to get into debt. What's next? 3 weeks, nothing but stress. I want to see the answer, but it don't make sense. I know about shotting crack, burglaries, ways to pay the rent. It's not an option to fail again, but these sentences don't comprehend. I have focused hard to get where I am. Every day I evade the call to slaughter lamb. Every day I make positive steps towards the plan. But it's more work, no reward. I don't think they understand. It's like, yeah, they keep telling me. I've intelligence, definitely. But unless I follow their ways, I'll be falling off steadily. Do they see the best in me? What is destiny? What is destiny? If we offend, it is with our goodwill that you should think we come not to offend, but with goodwill to show our simple skill. That is the true beginning of the end. I kind of understand it, well, at least the words. But you see, I'm from a place where no one learns. Past this, and I'm back on the street doing whatever to earn, and I'm not ruthless enough. I'll crash and burn. People want to kill me. Take away my title. On the road to where I am, I have slayed rivals. So if I go back, I'll be spun in the cycle, dying in the street, crying for a Bible. Maybe if I just cram, then I can pass this exam. Maybe if I just stick to the plan. Maybe if I commit, then I'll understand. Can I do it? Maybe I can. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep no more. And by sleep to say we end the heartache and thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep perchance to dream, that's the rub. For in the sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shoveled off this mortal coil? Life, death, what is it really? Like, what's the higher purpose? What was he trying to say? That being a king in this world is as much struggle as a peasant living off crumbs. Is it that by struggling in this life, we open the gates to paradise? To be or not to be involved? To be or not to be controlled? To be or not to be? That is the question. Original or a product of manufactured deception. On the road to redemption, miss a step and relapse. Minds mixed with malice reside with the rats. Crime does pay. It's an undeniable fact. Guilt transforms to rage. Peasants climb upon the map. And what do we expect? What was supposed to happen to those surrounded by drugs, violence, sanctions, weight of the world, time held to ransom, idolizing false prophets, projected for the TV unchallenged? They don't show these broken homes resulting from unobtainable goals. Pressures of expectancy mount and implode. Desires for emotion control range, mean and mode. Mind states manifest to what one sees, feels and shows. Lessons learned. Love is tragic. With fingers burnt, minds turn manic, engrossed in rage, blind panic. Things stay the same. Life is habit. And the want to change habitat in turn displays savage acts. Time moves with haste, no turning back. People get lost, subsiding on smack. Nothing really changes. Friends become strangers. Fortune does not always favor the courageous. Depression is contagious. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Signifying nothing. How do we learn? What is education? Mastering patience, is that the task of the nation? That and promoting intertwined segregation, the homeless ponder life and the choices they've been making. Lavish lifestyles, adored from the gutterings. Grafting pays off, where you start depends on what mother brings. Surroundings for some provide eternal suffering. No escape, thoughts of greatness exchanged for idle mutterings. Why write when there's no one to read it? Why fight when there's nothing to believe in? Why try at an attempt of achieving? Life is full of judgments, no chance of appealing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Big House's artistic director Maggie Norris and the performer you've just seen, the very wonderful James Hogarth. Give him another round of applause. Man, that was beautiful. Come, sit. Wow, goodness. Come and join us. Come and join us. Come and join us. So, James, I'll give you a moment to rest. We'll get you some water. Would you like some water?
Yeah, thanks for that, man.
No, thank you. But whilst you're getting your breath back, Maggie, could you perhaps tell us a little bit about this amazing, wonderful company that you've set up?
So proud of Johnny.
I know, right? I mean, he was amazing.
The Big House, yeah, I set it up 3 years ago. I'm probably going to share quite a horrifying statistic with you.
Share, please.
40% of the under-21s in prison have been in care. And I was working in Wormwood Scrubs. I also worked in Pentonville, and I discovered that fact. So there is a path from care to custody. And when I looked at what was out there to help people who are coming out of care, I realised that it was very understandable that they could flail out of control. So the big house has been set up to ostensibly help people who have been in care, to support them when they're leaving, but also we work with people who are referred from probation, from youth offending teams, and we use drama, which is an amazing tool.
Absolutely.
To build confidence and self-esteem and trust. And also we give intensive wraparound support to each member and long-term support. And we give a platform for marginalised young people to speak. And we work with them, with their stories, and with writers like Andy Day, who's with us this evening. And it's so lovely to have an opportunity to look at Shakespeare. And the words that you heard tonight were James's, and his response, and phenomenal.
And it was an absolute, well, first of all, just like bravo, or brava and chapeau for what is an amazing and much needed company. What a phenomenal achievement in but 3 years, and long may it continue. Now, James, where did this come from? Can you talk us through your process a little bit?
So I was referred through, I'm from Bristol, yeah, and I was kind of not really quite on the right path there. And then I moved to London. Performance is something I've always wanted to do. And then through doing a play with Maggie, through doing a play with the Big House, I then in turn she saw some of my spoken word, and I did a performance in front of some rich people at Ghana to try and raise some money, you know.
Did it work?
Yeah, it kind of worked.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Which is also another thing, if there's any other rich people in here, the Big House is a very small company. They could do with your money. But yeah, basically, and then yeah, she said this opportunity came, and I'm not a massive fan of Shakespeare, you know. I wouldn't say I'm not like a scholar, you know. I've tried to read it and I've not necessarily got along amazing with it, but, you know, whatever, life's life. And then it's a response to Shakespeare, innit? So we can't all be coming here saying how amazing he is and da-da-da-da-da.
Absolutely.
So after a while, yeah, I came to the conclusion that I'll write it about someone who's quite good at English, and seeing their way out is through getting their English, like maybe going to university to get away from wherever they're from. And then, yeah, and then this is his struggle with it, and that was kind of what that came from, and his frustration with the fact that he can write English and he can do all these other things and talk about all this other stuff, but when it comes to these words, it's like such a, you know, but that's what defines intelligence. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's where it came from.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And yeah, right, absolutely. And when we first talked, Maggie, the first thing you said to me was, now, we're not going to perform on stage. We want to be down in the crowd, in the middle of everyone. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, we've never performed on a stage.
It's just amazing.
I know. I don't know why. I think there's a distance, like now. There's a bit of a gulf between me and the audience. And
technology and everything else.
Yeah, and so the people that we work with are extraordinary, and I really like to get the audience and them as close as possible. So the next show that we're doing in 3 weeks' time is actually in a restaurant, and the audience sit down with the cast and have a meal, and there's a real interaction that happens as part of the play. So it's about bringing from people who are on the margins right into the centre and getting a debate and a dialogue. So yeah, stages are not my friend.
Well, I mean, goodness, there's something so, like, perfect about being in the middle of a crowd, pushing them out, challenging people's perception and idea of what theatre is, absolutely. Especially when you're using theatre and drama in such a fantastic and interesting way. Tell me about, James, tell me about you as a wordsmith. Because you are, would you say you're a wordsmith? The crowd are saying yes.
Yeah, like I rap, yeah. That's something I do with my friends. They're in the audience now as well.
Oh yeah?
Them or
With
us.
some friends,
Yeah.
Awesome.
But basically, yeah, and that's like something I've done for a long time. And then I've come into doing this like spoken word thing type thing, whatever they call it. But like, and I just thought, yeah, man, I just try and, you know, it's all right, innit? It's an all right little vibe.
It's
go
not
and
bad,
do a couple things and that, you know what I mean? And see what people are saying with it, innit? And everyone clapped, and that's a good start, innit, right?
Well, you know what? I'm not entirely sure what to call it, but other than absolutely just extraordinary, and thank you so much.
Nah, thanks for the
giving your
opportunity.
response to Shakespeare,
Nah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Wicked, man.
Thank you. James Hogarth and Maggie Norris from Big House.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Wow. And, you know, I'm not one to oversell stuff, but get used to your mouth making the shape of the word wow. This is something very personal to me as well, this next response to Shakespeare. The reason that Wendy right here is signing, because she actually taught me sign language 10 years ago for an acting job I had to do. And we've worked together pretty much ever since, whenever I've needed a British Sign Language interpreter. We don't need her necessarily now. Well, we don't need her at all, actually, for this next piece, which is, as I said, from the UK's leading, most wonderful theatre company that works with disabled and deaf actors. From Grey Eyes Theatre Ensemble, please welcome on stage, Jamal. One more round of applause, please. And now please welcome on stage, we've got Amit Sharma, the Associate Artistic Director of Grey Eye, and Sammy, Jamal's sign language interpreter. Which way round did we say we were going to seat this?
I'll go here.
Okay, brilliant. Wow.
Can I just...
Please.
Well done.
Absolutely.
He has just been freaking himself out all day, going, wow, this big audience and whatever, and I just think he's just an incredible job. And just highlights, sorry, Ben.
No, please.
Just highlights the work that the company does, which is giving a platform for deaf and disabled people. You know, Jamal's been part of our ensemble, which we've started and will hopefully continue, but he's one of our babies. And this is like one of his first gigs outside of the ensemble. So he was petrified. But I think he's done an amazing job. So, yeah, so thank you for being the audience to give him such a lovely welcome. Thank you. Thanks.
It was astonishing. And we were lucky enough, my ensemble were here this morning. They've been here all day. And we warmed up and physically exercised during the space. And we were lucky enough to have Jamal join us in our play. And if there's one thing that has been perhaps the biggest gift to me, that I've taken from this whole process of organizing this night, it's been to collaborate with such fascinating and interesting both theatre companies and artists. How did you guys meet?
From Jamal walking in his audition. Our artistic director, Jenny Seeley, she was the co-artistic director of the Paralympics opening ceremony, and she kind of had 6 young deaf disabled artists kind of come through, and Jamal kind of walked through, and we were just like, this performer is just something else, really. And when we spoke about what we could possibly do here for tonight's event, I think a couple of things. I think one is, I think what's amazing about good old Bill is it's the way he can communicate, not only individual stories, but stories overall. And I think that resonance is massive towards a company like Grey Eye, because we're all about communication and finding a different way, using what we have rather than what we haven't, but what we have, and how we communicate that in a different way, in a unique way, in an exciting, creative way. And I think that's the comparison to I would say what Will Shakespeare and Grey Eye is. It's the need to communicate, because we all have a need to communicate, and no one should be restricted, or there should be no barriers for that to kind of happen.
Yeah.
So even though the language sometimes is a bit tricky, actually he's saying some really emotional stuff. So it was a pleasure working with Jamal on the text.
Can I ask about that actually? Jamal, did you choose to do that speech in particular? Or was it a conversation between you and Anna?
Yes, I picked this speech. It would be a challenge for myself, which is why I picked it. Translation always has its own challenges. You have to really dig deep into the text and work out the meaning and really decipher it, and then learn that. So I created my own way of signing it through that translation. I wanted something visual, emotional. So for example, when I was talking about the heartbreak, I wanted that to be a really visual representation that I could show through my translation of the text. So it's just a creative way of exploring Shakespeare.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, I can't imagine it is for a moment. I joked once, having gone through the process myself, that the play Hamlet should have a health warning on the back of it. This play can do damage to you and the people around you and the people closest to you, because playing that part is so all-encompassing. It changes you, it changes your life. It's an incredible experience. Can you tell me, having taken on a major part, to be fair, of Hamlet, of that role, how has it changed you? What was it like swimming in that pool, in those thoughts?
I feel really different after taking on that role.
How?
I have to think a lot more. I have to use my brain a lot more. I have to memorize things, and I have to keep going and have a real obsession with the character, with the text, to really take that on. And theatre generally has just changed me as a person, and the process I've gone through has really changed me.
I've got to say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, watching you perform that speech, both tonight and the first time you did it last week, it changed me. And it's just an honor that you guys came and played.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Grey Eye, Jamal. Thanks so much, guys. And now, to take us home, the final commission of the night. It's one sorry, got to wait for Wendy. See, you didn't remind me. It's their fault. They didn't remind. Should we start again? Take two. Great, thank you. What did I say? I've forgotten. So, the last commission of the night. It's a great honor to welcome a man who I consider my friend, and he's taught me an awful lot about poetry. To give not quite the final, but the penultimate joyous response to Shakespeare. Please welcome on stage John Agard. How are you, Johnny?
Thank you, Paul. I think we should begin by giving a big hand to Ben Crystal for coordinating this marvelous event.
Thank you.
There's a lovely vibe in this room, and I've had a few I was very impressed at the British Library had foreign extra stout Guinness. You normally get that in Jamaica, not in England. I've taken the liberties of writing a couple of new poems in the voice of Shakespeare's ghost. And I will read each poem, introducing them with the title. The first, the bard ponders his retrospective from beyond the grave. It took the Creator 6 days, not counting that chill out Sabbath day, to create the world out of a void and put the gene back into Genesis. It took me all of 37 plays to reimagine that self-same world, which wasn't bad, considering that a glove maker's son must make a living. Writer's block, never heard of it. As long as Stratford stays on Avon, I'll tick on, and the box office rave on, though no royalties reach me in the great beyond. What if I had said the world's a page, and every page turner has its final footstop. Alas, even the bard must say farewell to the word, yet trust his quill outlive the reaper's grim bell. You ask, have I any regrets? For starters, had I known Dame Helen Mirren would turn my Prospero to Prospera, bless her, I would have called the tempest the temptress. By excess of excess, my ghost outgags time's jest. I care not tuppence or an Ottoman's kebab, whether I watch a tortured King Lear in drag, or my Macbeth, a villainous Macbetty. To make a virtue of political necessity is to make room for strange bedfellows. I have no problem with white Othellos as long as they wear a black heart on their sleeve. Since my Portia switches gender, why not race? I worry when justice wears a single face. Am I not a sponge for the world's appropriation? What creatures I have fashioned are no longer my own. As for digging up my grave, they could do worse. But I have waited for this moment with bated breath. Hear my bones rehearse by syllable my every curse. Methinks the plot thickens after the tick of death. The bard.
Are you doing more?
I'm fine, but the bard, why is he worried? The bard addresses the tabloids after a dark lady rumor. She was my dark secret. Oh, that dark lady whose hairs of wires sparked more than a sonnet. Let the paparazzi probe her mystery. How decipher night's hidden alphabet? Let's say she was a lass unparalleled, but I am no kind of cur to kiss and tell. And journalists know not, who know not this. To be unnamed is a nameless bliss. I'll not let on. I'll not let on. Let's say she was my Nile on Avon, my badge of ebony in an ivory world, my breathing gateway to the womb's word. Fie on you who would have me expose her. Let her be anon, and again anon. This other one is for Shakespeare's body side. He was a master of describing the beast with two backs, and I've taken the liberty of entering that zone. Who among you, quill wielders, can compete with yours truly, the bard? For clothing in fit word the naked deed that's done between the sheets. Forsooth, bring on your scribbling hacks. I'll show the lot what's what when it comes to penning what's what that transpires in the sack. I'm talking the beast with two backs. When the clock's hands dally on the prick of noon, and time itself doth sweat and swoon. In this bawdy planet of endangered species, there's something to be said about the goings-ons of birds and bees and wanton lambs in spring sweet bottoms grass. Oh, to graze upon the rise of rising hillock, and if that hillock be dry, like a deer to stray lower where the pleasant fountains lie. Methinks I could do parental advisory lyrics to portray four-footed florets, but with a name like Will, I choose to sit my pillycock on Pillycock Hill. Is not the deed of darkness brief delight? Tonight, hot lovers paddling their palms when heaven drowses in a dew-blessed lap, and bolden cod finds peace in fortune's lap. While my lessers in explicit detail labor, I, the bard, shall feed on the meat of metaphor. Ye gods, let me stick to Cupid's dribbling dart and Venus's private nest of spicery. Oh, there's more to naught than the naughties. when naught and naught expose their zeros with a hey and a ho and a hey, none know. Let me hear you. There's more to naught when the naught expose their zeros than a hey and a hey and a ho and a hey, none know. No, those were, I'm enjoying this atmosphere.
You don't say, really?
And I want to end with a poem. I want to take you back to the Caribbean, Guyana, where I was born, where we had a great respect for teachers. And this is a Guyanese teacher who was an actor, and he said to us as sixth formers,
okay, don't worry. It's fine, it's fine.
We were studying The Tempest. And Shakespeare's interpreter, not Shakespeare, sorry, I got to keep my brain focused. Columbus's interpreter, a converso Jew, Louis de Torres. Fascinating moment of history, that the first words spoken to the indigenous Indians of the Caribbean might have been spoken by a converso Jew. And Columbus, arriving with a preconditioned mindset, thought the interpreter had said, cannibal. But the interpreter had said, Caribbean, which is the language of the Carib Indians, who gave their name to the Caribbean. And I was always touched at the age of 16 that from Caribbean you move to cannibal, and Shakespeare, inspired by the Elizabethan age of discovery, came up with cannibal. And that same teacher, who was an actor, did a version of Tempest in Barbados, where he had Prospero dressed as a colonial governor and Caliban as an indigenous Indian. Having done those poems in the voice of Shakespeare, I want to end by giving the last word to the indigenous Indians of the Caribbean, we Carib ones. Hummingbird eyes and palm tree hair. Beware, beware of the Carib she baby. She make history weak at the knees. When she move like a breeze. 'Cause wind cradles she in the Antilles. Rock she leeward, rock she windward. Hummingbird eyes and palm tree ear. Beware, beware, the Carib she baby. Deep wandering inside, she coral grin. When she leap over water. Beware, beware, the Carib, she baby. Hurricane, she grandmother. And legend, the name of she race. Carib, 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 she baby. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Agard.
Thanks, Ben. Oh, well, that was all right.
Amazing, amazing. Our revels now are ended. These are actors, are all spirits, and they're melted into air, into thin air. And like this, insubstantial, pageant, faded, the great globe itself, all which it inherit, shall dissolve.
We are such stuff that dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep.
Let him not dwell in this bare library by your spell, but release him of his bands with the help of your good hands. Ladies and gentlemen, William Shakespeare 2016. And join me in an applause for the Passion in Practice Shakespeare Ensemble. Hit it. My thanks to everyone that came tonight. My thanks to the British Library, World Book Night, and all of our artists. Thank you all for coming and celebrating with us. It's been such a joy. We're going to have a few beats from the DJ Muzkan. Please stay with us for the last little while of the hour. Come and say hello. Thank you, and enjoy.
Shakespeare, full of sound.
True, I've married her.
If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wild.
Edmund Earl of Gloucester.
The taming of the shrew.
Therefore, if I grace my cause in speaking for myself.
Shakespeare.
Romeo and Juliet.
Pandora yesterday.
Pericles.
And well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound.
Shakespeare.
My redemption, death, and portents in my travels history.